in general.
Indeed.
Hello, NERP.
Greetings.
All
Maybe
right.
even a long couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really been a day and a half.
We're all staring at you awkwardly
It's
through the
true.
computer.
It's true.
Pretty much.
All right. So, obviously there's a lot, in flux at the moment. I still plan on running the Living World. I obviously do not have the same funding as who shall not be named at this moment. So I will be pushing to see if we can't get Patreon set up to, fund us and all that, but it's definitely not a guarantee of like paid DM work or anything of that nature. For those who are still interested, I'm happy to have you. For those who were here for the work as something put on your resume or just, for the extra cash, completely understand. But the plan going forward is indeed to push forward with Living World, though it will be set in my own campaign setting of Syrik. And I'll be spending a lot of time working on the lore for that, so you guys can have, stuff to look through and, read up on. I've already streamed a few of those games prior, and the World Anvil, which is what I use as my main hub for lore or like content stuff, does already have some lore to it. I actually have several documents from before when my players caused an apocalypse of lore for that time period, but they're very scattered, so I need to kind of get them organized and start putting them on the World Anvil as well. But yeah, that is the general shoops and whoops I have. I'm a little scatterbrained, but that's about it.
So just to confirm, are we going free to play, or what's the idea on that?
The idea is I prefer free to play. I would mostly have the Patreon for like those who wanted to get extra access to certain things. So like being able to test out things as we had previously planned, perhaps access to maps that we would normally not give out, that sort of thing. Maybe some bestiary stats, general things that we already had planned, but that's kind of something that we can spitball and talk on more. And if we do think that we should have paid for games, then I'm fully down with that. It would definitely increase the likelihood of being able to pay for everyone, as the previous idea was players have to pay enough to ensure that all DMs are paid for, minus a few $100 due to the 20 or so out of the 100 that are essentially there to replace those who have to go on vacation or are sick or whatnot and what have you.
You could always try to do like paid for character slots or paid for content in the world. Maybe some areas locked off.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely see
Just
some areas being
RuneScape
locked
it.
off. I don't
I
want
think,
to lock off any mechanics though, but like certain regions can be locked. I can see that working.
There's also the just go low enough to pay for, servers or whatever.
Are we still going forward with the tier 0 civilians?
I would like to. That definitely would help pay for the things that we will need, such as the bot work and whatnot. Any artwork we'll need too. I would like to continue with the artist getting us those assets so we can get our maps made so we can, they can start selling things, which would be beneficial for them, and we can start putting the maps that we make or that they make for us into these packs or Patreon. So it's definitely something I want to look into.
I could potentially. Oh, sorry.
How much do we currently own that we can say is ours? Everything?
I mean, according to the contract, essentially what was about it is that the Living World side of things, and I don't believe that the stream, like I'm like 99% sure the stream was non-involved, but they just gave me their community for obvious reasons. I don't believe that, or sorry, let me rephrase that. The Living World should be under us at this point in time. The setting, obviously not, so anything dealing with the setting, that's not something we can use, so probably certain terminology such as villains would be something we'd want to adjust, but villains is fairly commonplace, so it's probably maybe not something we have to adjust, but just on the safe side, we'd probably want to rename some things, so like traits, instead of having Juggernaut, we probably want to have like bulky, or I don't really know, something, a cinnamon, if cinnamon, my mouth's dry.
Synonym.
It's
Yes.
okay. We got you.
Yeah, you get.
Cinnamon trait sounds fun. What are you talking
It does.
about?
It does. As for partners or Twitch or anything like that, I mean, if someone here can get that, or if I can get that, that would certainly be a benefit, and I would be putting it towards the living world and all that. But
So I don't
man,
know about Twitch partners, but I can definitely assist with getting more staff, more artists, more anything. I have a actual ton of connections, both on and off of Discord that I can use. I have contacts with several bot developers. I have contacts with lots of artists who are willing to develop art. A lot of people for mechanics development, lore development, if anything needs like that. I don't know, other stuff that may be useful.
well, that'd certainly be very useful. Yeah.
Just so you know, Nerf, that's Chris.
Hello.
That's the guy
Hello.
from earlier that was being
Yeah.
talked about in
Indeed.
chat.
Yeah,
Ingredients.
I'm from Tableside, but I also own a few other servers and manage a few other servers. I'm also owner of a group known as the Tabletop Alliance, which is like a coalition of 30 plus other tabletop servers, ranging from like 100 to 5 to 10,000 members.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
Good stuff.
my own server's at 7,000, but I also work alongside another large Living World server, which you guys could actually probably talk with a bit on working together, D&D World. They sit around 6,000 members, and they've got a very active community, and they're also free to play with not subscription, but Patreon subscribing stuff. So you might want to look into some of their methods and pay models.
Oh, definitely.
Might be useful.
Well, question: is this still going to be on Map Tools?
Map tools is definitely the easiest, and I already know that we had some people working on perhaps alternatives, such as making our own custom VTT. I don't know if that's still a thing, as they were there previously, and I haven't been able to contact them since due to being busy and all that. But the moment map tools is the idea, simply because maps are much easier to use in map tools, though we do lose some functionality. I can certainly look at other VTTs, such as Foundry, but I know Foundry does have like a payment thing we'd have to do for every DM, so people actually play in
Yeah.
it. But
Actually, I think I have one of my partnered servers that I work with is a VTT Foundry server that has a lot of developers, but I can't remember.
I know I'm in a like pseudo living world, not player or any of it. I just one of my friends invited me to it to check it out. They have a similar setup, and it's full 100% set into Foundry.
Yeah, I have one here. League of Extraordinary Developers, Foundry VTT. They might have some They might offer some assistance. I'll have to reach out to them.
It is maybe Foundry GT has what one can do with it is set up a server to be always online for those people that are wondering about people creating tokens. That's one way to do it.
Map tool servers get weird when you do that, but you just have to be ready to reset it frequently.
Foundry, since you have to have the Foundry server open to set up tokens.
Yeah.
One more question: what is like how do I say, like, expectation, like, as far as player interest? I mean, you've got a chat room full of all these DMs, but I mean, how do I say, how big would we even imagine this to be? Not even compared to what we were imagining before.
Going forward, I definitely want to, at the very least, cover the same concept of one DM is one session a week, essentially. That can either be the previous idea of 2 groups bi-weekly or 1 group weekly. I do think starting out as a bi-weekly setup, that way if we do not get as large of a turnout, which is possible, we can easily switch to just a weekly per player.
Sure.
But definitely the same general concept of at least 1 game a week.
I got 2 questions. First of all, was there a ping set out for those who didn't know we were having a meeting today?
No, I kind of just hopped in as I saw you guys roll and call, so I was like, people are ready.
And And then secondly, just for like logistics and stuff, do we have a final tally of like how many people are still like willing to continue?
There's going to be a survey going out after this meeting is talked about and more things are released.
Indeed, and I appreciate it. I do know that we currently have 60 plus people with a DM tag currently assigned, but you know, post survey we'll know more.
Okay.
I also wanted to say I have a bot developer who would be able to assist, since I noticed you guys lost quite a few of your bot development team. I have a bot developer who would be able to assist with the creation of various bot stuff, who is very well versed with bot development. He's made several hundred bots over the past few years, so he should be able to assist with a few things. I've also already planned out a few things. I know I was talking earlier in this VC with someone about a travel bot, and you guys seemingly already had that planned, kind of.
Yeah, we never got more than just a basic concept, which I already have set up via custom commands in Dino. But
I see. I have my own notes about what we could do. We could probably compare that and see if we can come up with a better idea.
Yeah, certainly.
That, and also there's econ bots, inventory, and a few other notable bots that could be made.
Yep. Yeah, we definitely plan on that.
Yeah.
One more question, and maybe it's a bit early on, but especially after seeing like that list that was passed around of like downfallings of, you know, this last attempt or whatever. How do we say, like, are things being made to kind of like shore up some of those gaps? Again, I know it's still super early on, but you know, if there's an opportunity to not address those in the call specifically, but just like make a plan for that, just to make things smoother, that'd be fantastic, you know?
I'm not fully sure what you mean due to the vagueness, unfortunately.
Sure. I don't know. There was a list that was passed around of just like a bunch of shit that held back the last like run of Era, or I guess since the beginning.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was lore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
are you talking about the thing that got put on Reddit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's talking about like the criticisms of the list.
Yeah, the big list.
That. Yeah. I mean,
like I understand all of those like revolved around one person, but you know, now with this new iteration of what it is we're trying to do, I'm just saying there's a lot of opportunity to try and put the right things in place to avoid some of those.
So a lot of the bottlenecks were definitely centralized to one individual.
Yep.
My idea there is that my role itself is fairly open. I tend to keep a lot of things more loosey-goosey for like certain regions. So like I will definitely have like the overarching, here's what this region's like, here's key things you need to know about it. And then I'll have some like key locations pre-assigned, but I'll have a lot of like map markers, for example, on the world map. They're just like, here's a mine, and then here's another like 30 or so mines, and then like here's a village, and all these other things that are not named, but if I need something there, I can just quickly plop a name down and I have something. I tend to use generators as well to give me like basic concepts. So a lot of those things I can just assign to you guys, and you guys can have fun making stuff. I also have a lot of regions that I haven't fully fleshed out the lore, because unfortunately I was planning on doing this living world way in the future when I had everything set up. But fortunately that also means that you guys have things that I am fully willing to let you guys just have fun with. So like the Transylvanian style Barovian continent, or not continent, country in Kydrin. That one I have not done any lore for, so that one is free essentially for people to just have fun with. And they do need to follow a similar format, each of them, so I'll probably just take what you guys wrote and you know, edit it so it's appropriately formatted, and then, you know, post it on the thing, mark you as the author and all that. But essentially that.
Should we? Well, I guess we don't have to do it now, but like in the future, should we like organize, set up like a document for like each of the different areas, and be like, okay, here's like lore, here's like suggested lore, and then we might have like a like higher up team or something that is like, okay, here's a like they can go through and like approve lore, and then like, okay, this is canon now and stuff like that.
That's like gatekeepers, and we already kind of have a system like that in place. It's just that we don't have documentation down yet, but you know, very soon, once we actually get things going, we will have that kind of stuff. That's how it's going to be tiered.
Documentation is definitely like one of my bigger concerns. I think that's probably what I was trying to get more towards than lore stuff. Is just all the processes that might be in place as far as when people need to do things. Is there like rigid documentation of like responsibilities and due dates and like expectations in that regard. Just like general processes that make the clock work.
Indeed, I definitely want to get something set up for that. I know there was mention of I think it was like Microsoft Teams, maybe. There's mention of something of that nature that we could utilize. I'm not really sure the best choice there. Go ahead.
It would be good with a team of this size to have a couple of people who are really good at interpersonal logistics. To have a team that's sole purpose is to handle internal documentation and making sure that like people know what they're doing and are on task.
Yeah, just like project managers. Like that's what my name is Boris. That's literally what I do professionally, and I would love to assist in that area if you need the help.
I've done something similar in school project, which I enjoyed. But
I've also led a game development team before, and that required a lot of documentation. I can help too.
I'm a mangaka. I'm fairly adept at working with human resources.
With the survey that we'll be passing out, you guys can fill out things that you would like to be a part of. So we'll get all of the collection properly done then. Although I really appreciate the eagerness.
Indeed.
Yeah, cool.
Hopefully Sunday or whenever we have the big meeting where we talk about various development, I had a few ideas I could post forth about things to save a lot of overhead and a lot of logging, because while it might be nice to dream about having all this perfectly logged, the actual logistics of it is there's going to be over 100 staff members constantly being tracked, and that's the minimum right now. Obviously, it's going to change as things launch and go further, and that would be a lot of documentation, and there would probably be a lot of slip-ups. So there's a lot of things that could be done to save time with that, and also cut down on the requirements as well. Make things a lot smoother in the back end,
Oh yeah, certainly. I'd appreciate any resources or the like that you can provide.
Yeah, I would, if possible, like to talk to you at some point between now and Sunday before the meeting about all the ideas and other stuff from other servers I've worked on that I've seen done or have implemented myself.
Yeah, I definitely should be free since we're doing this tonight. Tomorrow after about 5 CST. Friday, there might be a stream. That's kind of in the air there, and then Saturday after about the same time, 5 CST, I should be available.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. Hopefully I'll message you then. I also have experience with doing streaming and stuff like that. I don't know if that'll help a lot, but I also ran a podcast of my own and done a lot of streams with other small streamers sometimes, but I could help out with aspects on that as well. I don't know if you guys need help with that kind of stuff.
I'm sure some of our DMs who are wanting to get into the streaming business would definitely appreciate that, especially since the main idea, the main reason why streaming games is encouraged is because it builds up your individual stream, which means that you can start getting donations and start getting your own presence known as a DM per.
Yeah, build a platform for yourself. Yeah, I get you. I understand it. I've been in the YouTube, Twitch area for like 6 years, so I understand the whole process behind it. I'd definitely be able to help out some people get their feet on the ground with all that.
It would also be good. It would also be good to have somewhere a active list of all of the DMs that are streaming, so that if it ever comes up, they can raid each other.
We could do like a streamer's tag or something like that, or a role. Could be useful.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
A few other servers I'm in do something like that.
And you can just like drop an @ in the streamers chat or in a private chat and say, hey, I have a group, I'm about to finish streaming, does anyone want to raid? And then we can kind of control where the entire server's raids go, which can be really productive.
It'd be nice to have a grouping of all the streamers in the community, even the larger ones to the smaller ones, to help boost the community around.
Speed run to partner.
Basically.
Yeah, we all gotta get speed running.
Together our powers combined, we will have partner.
We could actually make a Twitch channel that is just streamed games here and multiple people use it.
That all it does is host?
That might be a bit difficult to run since the number of people who would want to stream from here.
With revenue sharing.
Can you do it for...
We can do the schedule.
You can do hosting though, right? Like one.
Yeah, you could have a
host.
Yeah, you could do one
We
channel
can
that
have
hosts.
one
Okay, that might-
core Twitch account that just hosts each DM.
You'd have to schedule it though, otherwise there'd be
Yeah.
overlap and be a lot of problems with that. You could also do isn't there co-streaming or what is it, the multi-stream?
Squad streaming.
I mean,
That's
Squad
for
streaming.
partners, though.
You could have it like streaming
is
only available.
It could just be like hosting the highlighted game at the given time if there's overlap.
So you could do it like how tournaments, like fighting game tournaments, have it, where it's like they highlight a portion of the game for a bit, and like they stream it there for a bit, and then switch it off to a different,
That might
to a
be-
different one for a moment. So like if they like that, they could go to that stream. You get me?
That's going to require a lot of oversight for it.
Yeah, and for the most part, you're not going to see a lot of games run at the exact same time.
I think the scheduling idea is probably going to work best, but
I think
that would
if two
also.
games are run at the same time, the DMs can just discuss between them which one of them streams.
Honestly,
or they can just both stream.
And then
have
if they
their own
can't
streams.
decide, it goes to, we'll say, higher level group. That way we can incentivize people to play more and get to higher level.
I think the more I think
we
about
just
this
have
whole.
people choose, and people stream their own games.
Yeah, the more I think about this whole collective streaming channel thing, the more I dislike it because there might be favoritism or elitism involved with it, and that would turn a lot of people off to it.
I was going to say a very
What about
similar
just
thing.
having the channel that hosts? That way we can have a central place so that people can just be
You-
like, oh, I can find who's
You
playing
can't
these."
just have a channel that hosts because that assumes that the people who are streaming are only streaming games from this world.
Yeah.
I for
also,
one stream a lot of random stuff, and I wouldn't want to get hosted over like an actual game from this world. You would need a
we did not
person
have an
who's
issue.
managing.
Well, yeah, we
with
would.
with Living
I
World
wouldn't
DMs
say-
streaming their own games.
I wouldn't say maybe a channel, but maybe a stream team and have everyone be a part of it. So
Stream
that,
team might be a good idea.
so that
That's better.
people
That's
can
probably
actually
better.
look and say, oh, that one I haven't hosted. Maybe I drop a raid on them. And like you can actually see them and what they're doing and like, okay, are they, streaming D&D or maybe they're streaming Valorant or League of Legends or something like that.
I don't know. The whole core streaming channel thing that hosts a lot it can lead to a lot of problems though, especially as we grow and we have more and more. If we have like over 100 DMs running games, it's going to be pretty much impossible for it to cover all of them, and it'll start feeling like some people will start feeling left out, and that might be a
Especially
problem.
once we start getting bigger.
That's actually
Because
something I think would be
if
better.
somebody joins in for that, that's going to lead to an issue of, oh, why am I not growing as fast as all these other people?
Okay, so how about we, for
It
now,
always-
it sounds like the stream team is an idea everyone likes, right? Anyone got
Yeah.
anything against that?
It's a long way off.
Okay, so we can do stream team, and then if we ever want to do like a larger thing, we can see that in the future.
Discuss it when it becomes relevant.
Yeah.
I think for now we have a lot of stuff that's gonna take more precedence.
Yeah,
than
definitely.
really.
What's okay, Nerf? What's the next big thing we got to talk about?
Baby steps, boys and girls.
I mean, at this point, the next thing would be kind of discussing how we want to do certain mechanical changes due to the difference between Verum and Syrik. As I'm sure many of the economy team are aware, my equipment system is vastly different. I don't really want work to go to waste, but I do want to keep the custom item creation system I have, although we can obviously adjust it as needed because it is a little potent.
So, for those of us who got here a little bit late, I just want to reiterate and ask, is the things that were in Verum moving? Is the lore moving? Are the
No, the lore is
races
not
from the
moving.
homebrew? What is kind of going from Verum to this?
So none of the lore is moving. Any custom races, we might have to like adjust some things, but I am open to allowing custom races. Most of the races on there aren't probably going to be required, like Red Orcs, for example. Those would not exist in this particular planet, so they would not be transferred over. I do have my own orcs, and I'm open to us adding our own sub-races to those orcs. The dwarfs are very specific in this world, where there is magma dwarfs and stone dwarfs. Magma dwarfs basically being like the traditional surface-dwelling, more of like a lawful good alignment type of dwarf, glowing red eyes. They look very rocky, essentially. And then there's the stone dwarfs, which are a bit closer to Derdegar. deep Underdark dwellers, all that sort of thing. So there are some very specific races that should not be adjusted, but I am open to adjustments. I'm open to new races. I already have a large list of races, but I know someone asked about the Quetzalcoatl. I am open to having a race of that nature added in, just anything of that nature. This planet is actually the home planet of the Gith, so psionics are definitely a viable option to add.
You are my hero.
Yeah, the big mystery
get my
here
gun.
is actually that the GIF suddenly disappeared.
Hold on.
Yep.
Oops.
Oh yeah, because they're a player. I was like, wait, who's saying that? I was like, it's Chrono. Yeah, the big mystery here though is that the GIF disappeared suddenly, just out of the blue, blap, all gone. So a lot of the things I've been going with my players is like kind of like revealing that mystery, showing them what's going on, like doing like a bunch of like past events as they kind of like have a flashback in time type of thing. So that's one of the big things with the planet itself.
Oh. Well, mechanically, I think a lot of the homebrew that you have and that people want to add to the world could easily be done using like a submission list, and we could have.
Are we rolling back towards a more casual scheduling and running? Serving more as a community in a hub rather than a job?
So, at the moment, that's a legacy. They use text to speech.
I haven't heard.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So, I obviously do not have the. This is kind of back at the very beginning of this, but I obviously don't have the funding for payments. I definitely want us to stick with the once a week type of thing. Obviously, there will be some exceptions. I don't want to be like, oh, I'm got class and full-time job, I can't run every week type of thing. It's fine. But I would like people to stick to that general idea of once a week, just so we, are providing as best we can. If we do start getting funding where we can actually afford full dungeon masters and all that, I would probably have a separation of volunteer dungeon master versus paid dungeon master, where paid are expected to do the once a week type of thing, while the volunteers can just run whenever.
I had that entire road up actually, yes.
Yeah, Legacy likes to be prepared.
On somewhat on that note as well, when it comes to like content creation or whatnot, if you're trying to think how to exactly word this, but essentially if you're interested in any like subclass content or anything along those lines, does it kind of go back to the previous form of it, that it was, where it would still be like the volunteer work, but at the same time, in that case, we would probably still have rights to our own creations?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Just kind of wanted to clarify on that. In that case, hit me up. I have a catalog of that shit, and as long as I still have my rights to it, I really do not care if it's used.
Yeah, I definitely want this to be under the OGL, where anyone can just use it. I mean, that's anything made with D&D 5e is essentially under the OGL, but like any of my custom content, I'm happy for people to just use.
Yeah, I just don't want someone to get like upset at me if they haven't like. If I have not been paid for it, I don't want someone to get upset at me if I one day like sell a book of it or something like that. Yeah. But if I'm paid for it, then I don't care. Mm-hmm. Like, have it. But other than that, I've got an entire fucking catalog of that shit.
So I was saying a bit earlier about the homebrew stuff. I suggest, since there's going to be a lot of people with their own submissions, and I guarantee at least like half the people here have stuff they want to submit, including myself, you should probably have like submission form of some kind. That way it could be funneled somewhere easily, and you could have a team look through that, make sure it's all balanced, or balance it themselves, reach out to the people who made it, etc. Might be easier that way than just, asking if people have content they want to share.
Agreed.
The important thing,
also true.
It's already
the
being
important
made,
thing
though.
with a bunch of varied
How many of the
creators-
mechanical aspects can we bring over? Weren't all of the homebrewed feats volunteer made? Any idea if we're safe under OGL?
So, we are safe under OGL in that regard. We definitely can't claim it as ours. We will need to 100% credit the authors of anything homebrew over in Verum. OGL stands for Open Game License, which is essentially what everything from 3.5, I'm pretty sure, and up was made under. Essentially saying that you can use it, the system, make your own stuff. They're just like core things such as Gith, the name Gith, that cannot be used because that is copyrighted by Wizards of the Coast. So obviously with this we'll have to change some names of certain things in my universe. But
well, that's all assuming you're getting actual monetary gain out of this. If you're just asking for donations, doesn't the copyright not matter in that case?
I'm pretty sure Patreon is where that might conflict with that.
It's best to be safe.
If you're a nonprofit.
Yeah, you could be you could register as a nonprofit then.
True.
And say it's for volunteer work. That actually might be the best decision here. That way we don't have to go through a bunch of legal paperwork here.
Certainly.
I don't think being a nonprofit makes you exempt from copyright.
I don't think that it doesn't make you exempt from copyright, but it allows you to get donations while
Is anyone
avoiding
here
copyright.
a lawyer?
No, but I work with Discord partner legal stuff a lot, so I kind of semi-know this. From my memory, it's if you accept donations and apply as a nonprofit, you don't have to worry about it. I'm trying to do this myself with my own company, so.
Well, it's also, do we want to go through the hassle of applying as a nonprofit, or do we just want to change some names around?
Yeah.
I think with the other part about this is that the asking for donations thing, the problem with this is there was another group that did this, Pokemon 5e, which a lot of people here will know. They did the exact same thing where they changed a lot of stuff. They thought they were in the clear.
They didn't change a lot of stuff. They were using terms like Pokeball and Pikachu.
No. They weren't copyright claimed by Nintendo. They were copyright claimed by Hasbro.
They were copyright claimed by Hasbro because Hasbro knew that Nintendo was going to get them anyways, so they wanted to get out of the way.
Hasbro copyright claimed them for using 5e as a base tool. Even though it was drastically different, they still managed to get the claim to go through court and get a cease and desist on them, which is why it was such a tragic incident that Nintendo didn't even make a statement about it. They didn't care, but Pokemon 5e got shut down.
I think Nintendo just didn't have time. We really don't know how it would have played out.
I think
I think we generally, but no, I'm saying this all because we generally probably want to avoid, just in general, like the whole payment idea if we're going to use anything adjacent to 5e. You know, because they could come after us.
Agreed.
D&D World doesn't get got after for having a Patreon and using 5e.
That's my point. Yeah, I think that there's something with Patreon and asking for donations that allows you to get around it.
Talk to Fangirl Grizzly about it.
Yeah, that can be something that can be explored. But if we all have options for different stuff that could be done, I mean, that would be up to mainly the bigger guys like NERP and all them to kind of figure out. But that's a good suggestion, at the very least, either Patreon or something. That way we can hopefully, find some funds for those people that are, spending their hard-earned time to get this all working.
Yeah. There's also the entire side of this. You could always do things more direct with instead of Patreon, just funnel into a bank account, which is not illegal, but like shady.
I think the biggest thing here would probably be trying to get Wizards of the Coast blessing, if we get a certain expansion to us.
Good luck with that.
It's gonna be difficult, but Critical Role got it through.
Wizards is not a good company.
True.
Yeah, the only reason Critical Role got it through is because they had Matt Mercer. So
Critical Role is a whole different beast. Like any fan project that goes through Wizards is just not even going to get addressed.
Also, especially with the controversy about Arcadum, I doubt we'll actually get much traction there.
Yeah, no.
Even if we change our names completely.
I'll be realistic for you all. Let me put some groundwork down.
Okay.
Let's...
there was more, I think.
Wait, Legacy's here?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
Legacy, say pensive. Say pensive.
Damn it, B.
All right, B.
Wow.
Yeah, no, the legal stuff of this is it's going to be a nightmare because we don't have a company. I assume, NERP, you don't have a company for all of this, right?
Yeah, no, I don't have a company.
Yeah, either you have to make one.
We're not going to be able to one-to-one the server and world to Syrik. We cannot function on the assumption that we will be able to effectively or realistically transfer the payment structure, the organization, so on.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to transfer like Verum's whole Patreon system to this new server. It's going to have to be reimagined.
Yeah,
Understand that what has happened this week is a complete collapse.
Yep.
It's a collapse of a lot of infrastructure, but the people are still here for the most part.
Yeah, I mean,
they're essentially savaging
the community.
How many
Is
pretty
pretty
people
much what
left the Verum
what they're
Discord?
doing.
How many people left the Verum Discord? Let's get
At least
Well, there's a
5,000.
lot.
I-
Well, there's
I
like
probably-
13,000 players, but
or something.
It was-
Last I heard, it was like 9,000. I've heard different numbers.
I
It's
definitely
not-
saw it was 10,000 at least.
It's a sizable chunk, but
online
still
there
more
is
than half of it.
12,000 right now.
Well,
but you can check. Okay.
That's just
well,
online, though.
you also have to account all the people that came back
About
to
12,000
complain.
people total left.
Yes, that's the problem.
12,000 people, so 1/5 of the entire.
What we should be thinking of is considering this as a complete community, and gearing it towards a community rather than a service or a business.
Well,
A gathering hub for people who enjoy this kind of experience, not something we're trying to sell.
So that is what the other Discord is. This one is very specific to the living world, but there is going to be a gathering spot in the other Discord for the living world, for people to like discuss things about it and whatnot. Simply because I want these channels, since we're going to need as many channels as we can have, dedicated to like RP channels and like trade and all these different things.
I think they meant more about the living world itself being like a product to be sold, less than.
Oh yeah, it's certainly
You are
not.
admirable for wanting to make it funded still. I would recommend starting like most similar servers do, as an experience that people volunteer for.
Yeah, that's definitely the base idea there. I am still going to be looking into getting a Patreon set up, but that is not like a thing that anyone should expect to, suddenly have access to.
What we
Basically-
should consider is that a lot of the DMs here were expecting and are DMs at a paid level and expect, they put out an amazing quality of work and they expect to be paid for it. And so not a lot of living worlds offer paid games. They're very, very rare. But I think
If
that
we
might be
face the future forward with that groundwork, we can move on from there. Long-term goal makes sense for Patreon yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with what they're saying, that we should short-term just focus on getting this off the ground as a free project, and then maybe think about in the future doing donations and stuff like that. Maybe like a year down the line.
Open up for donation type and then distribute that. in some way.
People were prepared to spend money on Verum, and so we could move that onto this.
I don't see why not set up a Patreon though. I mean,
But
why?
yeah, we
it's
shouldn't
not
have
hard.
initially.
No,
This
they were
isn't
prepared to
this
spend-
isn't the same world that they were
Oh.
prepared to spend
Yeah.
money on. They don't have.
They were
like,
prepared to
users
spend
for
Verum, but
different
that's a whole nother,
contests.
that's a whole nother thing. So
And also, aside from that, we don't exactly
We
have
don't
the.
have the legal protection, the brand,
That-
nor the
Mhm.
structure and stability. It is
Exactly.
completely unfeasible.
nor the exposure.
Yeah, I mean, we have still the exposure because this is, the dying ashes of a once great community. So we have that technically.
Yeah, but how long that's gonna last?
That's not.
It's exposure. It is.
Any exposure.
It's not great exposure though.
All right. Enough of that, guys.
Now some
please,
uplifting
please.
bullshit right there.
Moving on.
Nerp.
Anyway,
I got
Alright, so
something.
Go ahead.
So what do we need then?
Okay. Are we going to keep the mob maker and the trait system?
The mob maker 100%. The trait system, that one is a little bit more iffy. The information of the specific abilities you can make with traits, that's all me. I made all those example trait abilities, so 100% we can keep those. I myself like the trait system.
Yeah, I like them too.
It just
When you say-
encourages creation of mobs.
When you say trait system, do you mean like how Arcadum had a martial check to learn traits of?
Yeah, I really like the martial checks and the traits and the abilities things. That was actually one of my favorite things about all of the games.
So the only thing on our trait document that was fully Arcadum made would be the names of those traits and the basic little blurb about what they meant.
We can be more freeform with it, TBH.
Yeah.
I don't think we should keep martial. Just use the knowledge check optional rule.
Like Arcana and stuff.
I honest to God have
you can
been
even use the
confused
same
why it's not
DCs for it.
insight since I joined the server.
So I am 100%.
Insight for humanoid enemies and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm 100% a fan of martial because I use it not just for traits or the like. I use it for commanding armies. I use it for anything of a more
Warfare
leadership
knowledge.
scroll, warfare knowledge, anything of that nature is used for, in addition to...
See, that makes sense.
Martial check is not a bad thing because it fills a niche no other skill check does.
I think the main issue is the parallel with how with
Can I
it being so
say
specific
something?
to Verum.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So this just kind of like popped into my head, but if we're gonna do something similar with like knowledge checks and things like that, couldn't we just like have like oh, you can use like for example martial for something, you could use arcana, and if it's like a kind of enemy like a more like nature inclined enemy, like use nature or use history or religion or stuff like that. So like other skills that don't really get used a lot, could we like have those be options as well? Sorry, that's kind of long-winded, and I hope it makes sense.
No, that makes sense. It's actually always been that way. It might not have been clear from before, but in the current document, it does actually specify you can use multiple skills, whatever works for the creature. I always encourage, as you say, if you're like fighting a dragon, for example, those tend to be like magical creatures. I would allow Arcana for that to be used, or Martial. Yeah, that's generally what you just said. Is yeah,
Okay.
it's 100% okay with it.
I'm gonna agree with Wanderer or Moonreaver here that we keep it.
I also have additional skills,
and we use it better than he.
Yeah, well, let me go find my document. I have some additional skills on my World Anvil that have their own write-ups as well.
Yeah, so I do think we might want to look at renaming Marshall though, because that is very associative.
What I named it in Pathfinder was command.
Ooh. Sure, command.
That might work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that, it probably needs to be renamed due to the spell. I'm not sure why I did that.
I mean, if you want to keep it to like the military stuff, yeah, command works. But like, you know,
tactic.
You know, learn what traits this guy has using the command skill seems weird. Like, they don't really fit.
Tactics
works.
Definitely work. Same with strategy.
I know this
Also,
meeting is kind of impromptu, but do we have any like specific goals? I feel like we're just going to keep jumping and jumping and jumping for hours.
So this was just a assuage any
questions.
Yeah, just a questionnaire thing. I'm here to answer questions.
This is less of the official meeting, and so jumping around still fills the stuff we have to do.
I'm also recording, so we will have notes if we need to. But but yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Have you considered making have you considered? Oh.
Okay.
Sorry, perhaps not as important. Maybe you considered making a new Reddit for Syrik.
That's pretty far down the line.
It is definitely something I was thinking about, but that's
something
down
that
the line.
people need to stop assuming is.
Actually, you know, I think
I figured if we're
stop
in a
assuming
questionnaire, I
that
might
and
as well ask.
You're cutting someone off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, just assume we're leaving everything from Verum behind, maybe picking up a few pizzas.
Yeah.
Dr. Novella, were you trying to say something?
To just
No, I was just commenting. I just figured, if it's just a questionnaire, just ask what I might as well. Yeah, I'm not expecting an immediate thing with it. I'm just curious.
Regarding the Reddit, I'm like a Reddit mod, and we had to literally do damage control. We are firmly decided that the Reddit, like the r/kdom, will be locked no later than Tuesday. So, yeah, like this is just my wish as the guy who literally had to work on 90% of all the access and functions of it. I would wish for that Reddit to die on Tuesday.
Yeah, it might be best for us to not have a Reddit for a little bit, in fact, until we better define ourselves as a new group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want to make one until we have a population. Once we have a player pop, I'm good for us to start working on that idea. But
I was going to suggest something too with the aspect of us keeping it volunteering, and then if we want to with players, I guess it could be set up through the higher ups, but allowing for like DMs and players to come in agreement of those paid DMs getting paid for their time, or like doing like little session type things where they would get paid. If like they could come to agreement with the players. If not, then it could just be a volunteer based thing. I don't know how that would go about working. But maybe I think volunteering at first would be the best function.
The big thing here is definitely volunteer at first. It is encouraged that players tip their DM if they can. And
Speaking of moderator stuff, I would like to ask you to speak to me about my statement later, Nerp.
Yeah.
Because as enjoyable as it has been to help plan this and watch us manage to salvage stuff, I cannot stand by.
Indeed. I will definitely be getting with you probably after this to discuss.
Wait. Is Syrik 5e?
I originally started in 3.5, transitioned to Pathfinder, and then I transitioned to 5e.
Okay,
what you're telling me is you pulled a critical role on it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what everyone did. Everyone in chat.
Yeah.
Honestly, now everyone's going to Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I'm gonna be real.
Are they?
Yes, it's better than 5e.
I'm actually down to do that, but
so I tried Pathfinder 2e.
The market isn't fighting.
It's not as easy to use in terms
No.
of like custom monster creation and certain functions as 5e is. I already have a system made for custom monster creation due to the mob creator. I'm much more comfortable with 5e, but I have played in 2e.
The short explanation for those who aren't aware of 2e is just that it is slightly more complicated, but that also means there's more you can do with it. There's more going on, and there's just 5 or 6 times as many options.
Oh yeah. One of the big things that I might be suggesting for the these are one of the mechanics things I was talking about earlier, where we might have to have a good old discussion about what we want to do with it. Because in my home games, as I'm sure Chrono can attest to, as they are one of my players, I provide my players additional feats that they gain every so or so levels. They all gain a ASI at level 1, which can be used for feat or ASI. The big difference here, though, with all the additional bonus feats that people gain, all feats that have like a half stat boost, that half stat boost is removed, and I'm going to be adding an additional ability to replace it. Which is why you're seeing a few feats on the wiki that, such as like tough, that have been adjusted due to certain facts like this.
So you don't have to choose between the cool effect and the mechanical bonus.
Yes, and my variant human is I do have a variant human. I do allow it. I also allow standard human, which I've adjusted to provide additional features. I'm pretty sure it's just the one additional feature, but making a bit more of an option to choose or variant.
And I can't remember the last time I've ever seen anyone play standard human. Ever. God.
I'm pretty sure the standard human is the variant human by now.
I actually have a class that my friend and I made together that standard human is actually good for because it benefits from having good low stats or good minimum stats.
Yeah, indeed.
But yeah, no.
Custom stuff's always good. Regarding Chrono's thing, I actually use the mob creator for all my monsters. So like it already works for my own power level.
I mean,
so, you know.
yeah, I was planning on repurposing that anyways.
But
it is a useful tool.
It is very useful. I highly encourage people, if they want to use it, to make their own custom monsters, that they can, freely use it.
Yeah. Where do I find that?
It's in the adventure folder. I also have saved both the adventure. I actually saved all the folders there, just in case things got destroyed. So I have backups just on my drive. But it's on the adventure folder in the Verum under the Bestiary subfolder.
Very noted.
On that note, do we have or are planning to have an audit of any kind upon what systems we have and what state they're in?
So I know that there is a lot of work been going on for like the civilian system. I know that Imp's been working on the item system with a few others. I imagine Imp, due to the fact that I do not see them in the server, online. That is that they probably bowed out during the shitstorm. So we definitely need an audit to go through, see what we need to shore up our things for and whatnot. If we don't have Imp, I do have my own I've been working on, and the big issue there is that making generic effects is a huge time sink. Oh, excellent. We can have Imp continue to help. But I do have a generic magic item creation system that is in the works in my equipment guide. That if we have more people who are interested in helping item creation, the system's bones already there, as well as like the custom mundane item creation system's already in there. The Masterwork system's in there, as a few of you were posting your own Masterwork systems, and I was asking if I could use some of the things from it. So, it's in my equipment guide.
So what's the state of the civilian system?
It was pretty set last we were looking at it in terms of like the basics we needed, but you would know more, Shrub.
Yeah, so the civilian system, we're still in beta for a lot of things, but the base rules for all of the careers that we had were complete to the extent that you knew what you were getting into if you were going to be taking up that career. However, a lot of the things that the careers actually did were still a work in progress as we developed the economy, the gathering system, which our economy was very much material based. And some of the buffs and information that scholars could get from DMs about upcoming missions needed to be reworked so that they would be useful at all tiers of play, along with the buffs generally being explained more thoroughly.
Can I ask, does it make sense to still have civilians if we're not having a Patreon to start?
The civilians would be turned into a just a career system, most likely.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I don't like the civilian thing. It
Can't believe you're one member of the civilian team.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So
why don't you like the civilian system?
It's so much work.
That's very true.
It is definitely a lot of work. I think if we can get it automated, it would definitely be helpful. I know some people, like myself in the previous phase, I just wanted to be a merchant and just run around, trade, and RP with people. So there's certainly people who are interested in that particular style of play.
I said this in chat. Sorry to interrupt. I said this in chat. I feel like making civilian baseline for everyone, and then you get less downtime days when you go on missions, means that every character can have a career that they like do, so you don't feel like you're doing nothing when we're not running games, and that could probably work very well, I think, without having to scrap what we've done.
The idea is that everyone would be an adventurer. You're just not required in the slightest to go on adventures. We don't have to keep them separated in that way, and they can just be moderated under the same envelope.
My question here is, I mean, I understand having them separate, but why have a civilian at all if all the mechanics are available to everybody?
In the past, the reason that they were separate is we couldn't give enough slots for
Civilian
the people that
is a very volunteer-heavy system.
Yes.
It requires a lot of upkeep, and it was, I'll be honest, a money bait for the Patreon in its current state.
That is correct.
We do want to keep it. We'll have to massively scale it down, or make it all together.
Yeah.
The system we made this here was significantly less work than last phase. Significantly.
Yeah.
And it had more stuff. It was actually, it was the same thing as last phase, except many more careers and much less work on stuff.
The big thing we have to do is we have to minimize the amount of oversight that it requires and make it really easy to audit. So people are accountable for a lot of the stuff they do, but what they do is super easy to at a glance look and see, okay, have you documented the steps? And if they haven't documented the steps, then they don't get the credit for what they didn't document.
Yeah, we were going to automate. There's a lot of things that were going to be automated, and it was like very little stuff.
Yeah, the econ bot I was talking about earlier that my bot dev is working on also includes a downtime system that can easily be converted for this. So yeah, if that's something you guys want to...
As far as automation, let me just so everyone's on the same page. I don't know if you still want to do this or not, but we had a really good meeting with Simon If he is still interested in working together, he has a great team as well. We were going to do server work.
He did send me a message saying that he was totally willing to offer me volunteer work. So I think we do have access to, Simon's team.
Nice. One thing I'd like to bring up is last phase. The problem with the tier zeros was they didn't have much to do, and they weren't adventurers.
Exactly, and that was the point of this.
They weren't adventurers, though.
So
is what I'm still seeing as an issue. So they're going to try to make themselves important. That can.
I guess what we have to figure out is everyone going to get to play in a mission or not? And if they're not, then that was the whole point of the civilian or tier 0 system, was to give something for people that can't play, something to do.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. Since we're not really having a division between the two anymore, adventure and civ, why not just integrate civilians? But yeah, why not
make it
integrate
like you make it like something akin to like a background almost, where it's just another option.
Or make it just a trade profession system so that people can go into it if they want to, but they don't have to, basically.
Not everyone is able to play in a mission. Civilian needs to be converted to basically something people can do if they don't want to or can't do missions.
So adventurers can already do that. The civilian system definitely needs to be integrated and adjusted to fit a more volunteer, free-to-play style, at least at the beginning, due to the fact that, we obviously, the big thing with civilians is that they were to fill the just RP slot. Since player adventuring slot is free for the most part, we don't really have a reason not to just go straight to the adventurer role. So I think we should just have our character creation allow for either or, and if you want to focus on adventurer or just being a civilian, you're free to do so. I don't think we should limit it in any way. I do think that the work that we have done should definitely not go to waste. We should just convert it to allow for essentially players to use it.
Just to give a little more background too, so the reason it came about originally was because we only had so many DMs to run games, but we had X thousand people that wanted to participate previously. So is that still going to be a situation? Are we going to have enough DMs to run games consistently for the amount of interest? And that is where the civilian.
Yeah, and on top of that, also, are we going to have enough players for however many DMs we have, and are we going to have a necessity for civilians?
It could go either way, exactly. So it's again, we don't know, but
yeah, this is actually partially why I wanted to talk to NERP tomorrow about all this, because I have ideas that are already implemented in other Living World servers to help with not only the overhead of the massive amount of DMs that are going to be here, but also with the problem of we might not have enough DMs because we have a heavy vetting process for DMs here. We could have different, I know you guys already have a different tier system for DMs, but basically different sections for DMs. I was going to talk more about it with NERP on this whole subject, but yeah. Basically different ways to split the load and make it so there's a lot less problems, basically.
As I said earlier, we cannot approach it from the old perspective. Our primary thoughts should be on scaling down everything, and shelving things that we cannot feasibly convert within time. We have to be careful not to fall into the sunk cost fallacy.
Yep.
I mean, definitely need to scale back. Overall,
what is the time though?
We don't have a time frame.
There isn't,
yeah.
So we don't have that. We can set it ourselves.
Yeah.
I definitely would like to have us set up by the same plan period as last time, but obviously with all the changes that we are going to be doing, that's less likely or much less feasible. So whenever it's done at this point.
I still think we should at least consider the two possibilities, which is there's more interest in DMs and there's not.
Well, if there's not as much, if there's more interest in DMs than there are players, then that results in a actually good thing where we have an abundance of games, because I guarantee you from other communities around, there's never ever going to be a lack of players unless you just don't have the traction or the advertising. And if that ever happens, just as simple as going out and saying, hey, we have a lot of games, we need players here. And
so what are you saying if there's not enough DMs for the players?
If there's not enough DMs for the players, then I was saying I had ideas that I was going to shoot to NERPs about ways to get more DMs faster, or basically, because right now the way we have DMs is we vet them through an incredibly long process. We could easily have a team below that of DMs that are with less vetting, that have less powers or less availability. That way we have more of a team, more people doing things without actually having to worry about, vetting every single person that comes through with a ton of everything,
We got up to 100 pretty quickly, but that was when it was going to be paid.
Look how many people are in the meeting right now compared to any meeting.
There are 68 game masters online right now.
Yeah. And I did say this in the voice chat earlier, but even without the payment, I guarantee a lot of people here would still be willing to host games or to even play in the server. So it's not like we're going to lose out a ton from not paying.
From previous phases, the turnover rate of DM and staff was extremely high. It was up there with retail, but with a certain someone out of the picture, that's probably going to be less of an issue.
Of course, it's going to take a hit, but, that's expected.
It was upwards of like 80%.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sure.
One of the biggest things to understand is don't think about this server in terms of quotas and set schedules and numbers anymore.
Yes.
Understand is we shouldn't be thinking of how to continue, but instead how to convert and salvage. I actually have a draft for something like what you said, Chris, so good idea.
I have drafts for a lot of this stuff as well, because again, I work on a lot of our living worlds, and a lot of these other servers have basically come to the same conclusions like a year back. And yeah, there's a lot of logistical stuff that could be done, especially if this is all going to be volunteer work to solve everything from
I just don't think we don't need to throw things out just to throw them out,
I'm so sorry, whoever that was.
Okay.
You actually look at things and, ask the question, should this be thrown out? Should this be kept?
I would like to try to salvage as many of the custom systems that we've been working on as best we can. Because, they're solid systems. We just need to see if they can fit into the new scheme, and if so, how we can fit them into the new scheme.
Yeah, why don't we go through and just kind of set up everything, and we can shelve the civilian for right now until we get a count of how many players basically we're going to have, and then from there we can start looking into continuing it.
I think we need to do an audit of what systems we have before we discuss changes to anything further.
Yes.
That's fair.
Yeah. We should get a status of pretty much everything, and then we could do, testing the community waters, the dev teams, everything, see if everyone's okay, and then from there
Pretty
we
much.
go into development.
And not game systems, literally server systems and structure.
Yeah.
The
infrastructure itself.
Will there be meeting notes for this? Because I pretty much have to leave.
Yeah, I'll be posting the VOD.
Okay, cheers.
See ya.
Yeah.
Right.
I would like to see some of the trading stuff made optional where it was mandatory previously.
So one of the big things with my world is it already has a fairly set economy. The big thing with civilians, the thing I actually really liked about them was the player-based economy. I still like the idea of having that, but it also kind of breaks some of the lore of the world. It also is less feasible as a volunteer service.
Sorry, doesn't a player-based economy rely somewhat on having a rather large number of people putting into it?
It depends on the aspects. Like if you only have mining and gathering compared to 200 different professions,
Yeah,
Like half of these departments should not need to exist anymore. We can easily go into a classic living world structure essentially, with mechanical systems and departments salvaged.
Salvaged.
That sometimes that text
Salvaged re.
Just gets me with how it pronounces things. Anyways, yeah, I mean, definitely going to be going through the roles that we have, seeing what's needed still. Overall, I do think having the core idea of Game Master and RP Event Master, still things are very nice to have, just because, encouraging RP and text channels is always a plus. I still want it to be the same way that we are planning on before Shrub. So, things and such like things.
I think the whole argument people are having with the number of people is, I can give some insight into that. I work on servers ranging from 100 to 5,000 members, and the ones down by the 100 count, yes, they're too small to have pretty much any major business or guild systems. The best they could do is like basic crafting stuff. But once you start getting around 500 to 1,000 is when you can start having like the more miscellaneous businesses that don't really matter, like farming, mining, etc. Stuff that could easily be replaced with an automated system, but is there for flavor's sake,
Yeah. Like, I definitely want to keep the civilian options, or sorry, I probably shouldn't say civilians here. The NPC options of, like, a town's trader, towns, like, things that are just ingrained into that town. Because I do have some towns that have certain established, establishments, places of business. And having those things set up would be, already there, already set up, and the players wanting to do their own thing is obviously something that I'm fully willing to let them do. I want them to be able to, craft things. I want to be able to harvest things, all that good stuff. But having NPCs is definitely going to be a plus in this regard. Just to, push things forward. And we don't even have to have them be RP required if we have a bot set up for them. We just have to make sure that their bot, which does go into the idea that we need to have bot work done, but, we're already going to have conversations about that and all that good stuff, but we can just set the bot up to have their prices ingrained.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Wouldn't they like having it and not like it getting used is better than not having it? No,
yeah.
The civilian system.
Well, yeah,
unless it requires a lot of work. But
yeah, that's why we're talking about potentially integrating it or doing something along that line, so we don't just scrap the whole idea. It would be a really big waste to just throw that whole system out when it's been worked on so hard.
I definitely want it to still be in some form of it an option. Like, I myself was helping out with a team, although I missed a few meetings, but it's a solid system. So.
Yeah, I should say for people that might not know, in the previously it was going to be absolutely mandatory. There were going to be no NPC vendors, if I understand correctly. I think that'll have to change.
Well, most likely.
So from my knowledge of how living worlds work and all that, the NPC stuff, it's required for pretty much the beginning, because a lot of people aren't going to be getting immediately into a lot of the businesses. A lot of the businesses aren't going to even be, possible to run, because some of them are going to be so costly. So having NPCs start them all off will be great, but probably like a year down the line, once we've launched everything, it might be the case where we just have no NPCs left because the PCs have taken up every spot.
Definitely can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the system we had, I don't think it was needed, but considering what's happening now, yeah, it's
very possible. Yeah.
I don't think we can do what we are going to.
We shall see.
Indeed.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Take a break a bit from the admin stuff. Talk about content creation. Would there be a overall arc of like a region that would be headed by a team? Like, what type of hierarchy are we going to
yes,
go into?
I still want to have it be set up where the idea for this phase and the idea, or the setup we had for last phase, where there's regions that had a Dungeon Master head. I still want that. I'm not sure how many regions I want to have be set in the phase of play, because the world already has each region kind of there. Some regions I haven't yet named, but I have the location of it and like the core concept in place. and some nations are just blank slates for people to just, here's part of land, you guys are free to make what you want with it.
I've got a question. This is a little, probably not this meeting kind of question, but what's the plan for how we're going to handle developing, the plot line?
So the plot line, that actually, my original idea, keep in mind this is probably not going to be kept for the living world, but my original idea was a bit more of like I don't know if this is the right term for it, but like a West March style thing where all players were part of a guild. They can obviously join additional guilds, and were encouraged to do so, but they were part of this one guild that the main item that the guild gave them was this bracelet that allowed them to go around the world taking on missions and always be able to teleport back when they completed it if they survived. Obviously, if they died, then they're lost. But they can teleport back, and there's just central hub where people can RP and all that good stuff. But their missions were their own, and their storylines were their own, where each player group was assigned a DM, and that was their DM, that was their game.
That's a good concept we can use for instancing.
Yeah, but that's definitely, I don't know if we want to use that, but that was my idea way back in like phase 2 when I started making the server, that I haven't really touched much because I've been working on this.
I've seen it used in a lot of living worlds. We can potentially use it if it fits for Syrik.
Yeah.
Personally, I think having a singular DM who you have with the whole time probably works better in a smaller scale, though I don't know what scale we're working with.
Yeah, I partially agree with that, because also this comes back to the idea of like, if we have a different hierarchy for DMs, that might be confusing or difficult to do. It might conflict with some things. And overall, if this server does ever hit it big, for whatever reason, we're going to be crippled in regards to that, because we'll severely lack DMs, because that is going to make it so we require almost a 1-to-1 ratio DMs to players. Be more like 1-to-4, but still, that is...
I would still want to keep the 5 party groups, but it's still, it would definitely be a crippling thing if we do go that route, which is why I'm still in the land of the previous system, at least for living world purposes.
I think I might have an idea on the matter. We could tie in to the like, I don't know, lore making system that we were talking about earlier, and we could have it set up where certain areas will have their overarching problems, but there may not be an overarching problems for the whole continent itself. And then we can have them like written up in lore and stuff, and like kind of semi-detailed out, so that people can run those missions, and then they'll have the same lore to work off of, and then we can like update them as it goes, as the story progresses.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we could do that kind of meshes the two different types, my previous idea for shitstorm adjustment to current setup of the living world, could be a version where like minor missions, lesser missions, major missions, greater missions, and then campaigns. Each of those sets the general feel. So if like you're on a major mission, for example, that would be perhaps an entire adventure path book. So like Pathfinder has these adventure paths that take you from like level 1 to 3. That would be your group for that entire book. And then you can, like, once you're done with that mission, there might be a follow-up mission that might just be that's it. It could be shorter, it could be longer. It just I don't really want to put a cap on like session length, and it could keep both themes where it's random DM, but it could also be here's your DM assigned for this bit. And campaigns would allow for crazier things, more of like the traditional style of play, which is my first idea, was allowing people to just have traditional style play in a group setting.
Let's be honest, we're bigger than most servers ever reach. That's why it's going to be so difficult converting into a more casual baseline.
Actually, D&D World as of right now is larger than this server. D&D World sits around almost 6,000, 7,000 members. This server is 2,000-ish right now. But obviously it's going to be getting more from the main server. But
This server never had any players. Also.
But I imagine testing. Well, do you guys have any numbers on how many members the Living World itself had that like were actually paid subscribers previously?
So we never had the paid subscription. We were setting up for this upcoming phase. Previously, we had about 250 players in the past phases. This phase, we were expecting to have a pretty big spike, just judging from interest and all that. But at this moment, we have no idea what our population will be. So I would imagine expecting a bit more on the tamer side of about 100, 200.
I imagine it's going to be more than 200 at this point because of everything that's happened.
I just want to temper expectations so we can be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I mean, well, tempering expectation is fine, but you also want to make sure everything is stretch tested beforehand. Otherwise, if we actually do get 1,000 members on day one, everything will just crash and burn and we'll be on fire.
Indeed. Fortunately, we have been testing things with our training games, and I would want us to continue that, but more in an official capacity before we actually launch the Living World. That way we can start testing out, perhaps instead of just test games, start testing out, for example, major missions, or testing out multiple different groups running at the same time, perhaps even a small beta test of like 100 players that can, run through things, see how things work.
And also a side note from all of this, since you guys have kind of lost the big spotlight you had with Arcadum and all of that, I have there are other things you can do to get a lot of player traction for the server. My own server and a lot of other Living World servers do something called partnerships and basically cooperative works with a lot of other servers on Discord to basically encourage traffic between the servers. And that might be something that could be done here at some point. To help encourage people to come into the server and go check out other servers that exist.
Yeah, I actually saw a few things about partnerships with other servers.
Does anyone have any other questions? If not, I think we've established most baseline understanding of the situation and where we should go from here. Also, partnerships are really common, and honestly without the brand shackles we should consider them.
Yeah.
That does bring up the question, if we want to do more things like that, are we going to reconsider side servers for like people who are going to run multiple games? Do we want them run in the server?
I have
or do we
no issue with side servers. If you guys want your own server to run things for better organization, especially better organization, have at it. That rule was very sad.
Yeah, that was more of a Verum thing.
Yeah, that I only asked that because I can see like if we have seven groups going at once, we're gonna have so many people filling up that no mic chat. It's trying to get anything done would be impossible.
Not to mention that the voice quality here in like a core server tends to drop dramatically the more players are in a call.
Loggers we can reintegrate with the greater D&D community and re-socialize.
The only thing you probably shouldn't do inside servers is have like an RP channel inside servers.
But I mean in the context of just enough to be like, hey, we're
the game put today. Your mission rewards in there. Put note taking. Put voice chat. All that stuff.
Yeah, the core stuff, notes, all that stuff. 100% good to go. If it's an RP channel, just make one in the server.
Yep. No RP channels inside servers. It's all on here.
Yep.
Yeah, it just helps organizations so much.
Yeah, in regards to the whole reintegrating with the greater D&D community, that is literally a process that will take approximately like 5 whole minutes, because I guarantee you there's at least 30 other servers that sit around 1,000 members that would absolutely love to partner with the server, even as it is now.
Certainly having... sorry, I was reading a message in chat from Dr. Jund. Certainly having a leveling scale discussion would be necessary. I know the current idea for this phase was to cap it at level 4. I also had an idea of having it be the experience for higher levels be more of a tied to the lowest level players, but that could be messy. So definitely something to discuss. Yeah.
And let's be honest, make an RP channel if you want, but just understand it's non-canon. Again, it's a community now, not a single bottleneck, as far as NERP has declared.
And what a delightful community it is.
Yeah, look at this. We got 100 people into a voice chat together. This is pretty rare occasion.
Yeah. I'm surprised we only have had a few talks over and whatnot. It's good stuff. Look at us being civilized people.
How dare we?
I know, right?
You're supposed to act like monkeys, damn it.
We got it out of our system the last couple of days, man. We're good.
Yeah. Monkeys with katanas?
God damn it.
You know what
We just got done. We just got done burning the
When
ship
it
down and
rains,
roasting marshmallows from the fucking driftwood. We're all right.
Speaking of all the stuff that's been happening, Nerp, I did want to note, I actually, as a complete, off tangent, I am doing a panel at Gen Con, not the live one, the online one, pretty soon, with Kiniz, the person who owns D&D World, and a few other people, about Living World servers. I'm gonna ask Kiniz if you can join along, if that's okay with you. It's in 2 weeks, I think.
I mean, depending on the date, yeah.
Yeah, it would be great to have you on because, you seem very knowledgeable about Living Worlds, and it would be nice to have a great, knowledgeable person join us.
Yeah.
Hog.
Yeah.
Hog.
Plus, that could be a good place for you to, talk about this whole ordeal and your new server, new-ish server.
Yeah. Fortunately, it's not in person, because if it were in person, I would probably be shaking vigorously and being very nervous. I don't do in person very well.
I don't blame you. In person is difficult. We have the other person, the other two people who are in there are also not keen on in person, so don't blame you.
Yep, that Psyduck is me, 100%. Man, I hate doing presentations.
Alright, so last call. Anyone else?
Have we talked to... I mean, I assume we're still going to try to do something like DMs get to play or adjust their priority for scheduling or something.
Don't worry about that for now.
Yeah.
Please, just...
Yeah,
that's far.
Yeah, the whole... We should... Oh, sorry.
Sorry, we'll figure out reward systems in the future. For now, Passion will have to do.
Also, a reward DMs have is they're much better informed about what's happening.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
They also get a nice pat on the back and a thank you.
That's true.
Nice.
But yeah, any other questions?
I got in normal games.
One quick question just to the group as a whole. Do we have anybody who is media trained?
Hello.
What do you mean media trained?
So what I mean by media training is because even though Arcadum is functionally cut off from all of this,
What sort of media? Public
just
relations?
Just generally speaking, because we need to make sure that we are not going to get caught up in a shitstorm by proxy of any capacity, even though we've more or less washed our hands at this point.
We have multiple people who are experienced, but I actually need to talk to NERP exactly about that.
Yeah, in that vein, what have we told the public, even if the public is the other server, about the new Living World plan?
Yeah, that'll probably be
Nothing.
discussed.
So
and then what do we want to tell them?
So for the new Living World plan, we basically just gave them a brief little paragraph of text saying that we do plan on continuing Living World. We do plan on transitioning it from Verum to Syrik, though. It's still a work in progress. Basically, we'll let you know more. So it's just a little blip saying that. Yeah, what Chrono just pasted.
Cool. Any others?
I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry. This will be relatively quick. I think it still would be kind of healthy to have dates for at least a general speculation, a general range of dates of when stuff should get accomplished, just so that we're not forever stuck in limbo, so that people have some deadlines or some idea of a deadline. Will we this done in 2 to 3 months, or this done in the next month.
Yeah,
Something
definitely
rough like that.
something to lay down during Sunday's meeting, as that'll be more
Easy.
official, and we can start setting up roadmaps there.
Okay.
It's only
I
been a
just
couple
wanted to
days since
Yeah.
all this happened, though. So, like, recover first, please,
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
I'm
No, we
surprised
must
all of
barrel
y'all
ahead
came to
without
this.
any relaxation.
I highly encourage people who need it to take a break. We can even do it next week if need be. I'm 100% fine with that myself. So, whatever is most comfortable.
I do believe that we should have a perhaps. I see a lot of people asking in like the 3 chats that exist on the other server, like what's happening with the living world and stuff like that. Are there any like marching orders within how to respond to them?
I kind of thought I could just post this meeting because it was solid, helpful. We can also give them a statement saying that we're working on things, we are transitioning it, likely due to the nature of the team will be free to play, things of that nature. Just basically going over what we just gone over.
I have a question. How's the hierarchy in this server going to work? Because we know you, Nerp, are the leader, but in case we can't reach, who should we defer to and stuff like that?
Yep. So obviously we'll still have director, which I currently have the tag for. We'll then
Has
have
to be
the admins.
completely reworked, but follow old one probably.
Yeah, the old one's pretty solid. I actually have a structure in my own Living World server prior to this one becoming Living World server that Shrub is in and a few other people are in. It's pretty much at the very top, I believe, that structure. The only difference is I name things weird. So my current tag would be deity, and then administrators would be like demigod. DMs would be, I think they're still DMs. I just named things funny. It was pretty similar structure though. So if you need to contact me, admins would be an easy blap right there. Or you can just contact me. I tend to respond to all ats, even though I have 7 right now. But I'll be reading them after this. So you guys, I read my ats. I don't like seeing the little thing there.
Same.
Relatable.
All right, everyone here, quickly just DM Nerp random stuff.
Do not do that because it broke last time. For the love of God, do not do that.
I actually had a lot of broken messages last when it was put out a call to message me.
I already yelled at half of you last time for doing it. Wait till everything's done.
Yes.
Wait, for the official contract thing, do we still need to message you directly, or did messaging Sithams work for that too?
So Sithams, which I am 100%, or I would say 99.99% sure that I am now officially the contract holder, due to the wording that Jeremy sent me, saying that I transfer, these to you, all that good stuff. I would consider Sithams being training head my co in that regard, especially since they've been handling contracts themselves already. So myself or them.
Sithams is an absolute chat.
Yes.
Okay, I was just curious because I had messaged Sithams about that, so I wasn't sure if I needed to specifically state it to you or not.
Yeah, myself or Sithams would work.
Sick.
A quick comment about
I don't mind either way, just
Quick comment about those contracts, because some DMs kind of just left when the news came out, and you want to contact the
Not have to worry about those.
If I remember correctly, the instant they leave, it's voided.
Yeah.
I don't think the contract says that if you leave the Discord call, then the contract ends. So we might want to just fire them writtenly, as
All
the
of them are
contract
getting
says.
voided, so.
The holder can void it, or they can put in a written notice to void it. So
we had brought this up before, thanks to Nerp. The only people who are technically under contract are the original 14 of us, which we learned today is under Nerp now, which he considered voided for us 14.
Yep. So everyone of the original 14 just message me or set them, and we can get you voided. Everyone else, the contracts were never officially sent out or anything of that nature, so Kata never, had them. They were never confirmed because I was waiting for the big bada boom 100 to blap them into the sent folder.
I see.
So,
Okay, cool.
yourself, Chrono, never sent it.
Good.
Hell yeah.
Wait a second. Well, thank goodness, because I was totally unprofessionally besmirching Arcadium yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I was kind of depressy over freaking Fiendrite lost, but I'll take what little I have on that one. Well, chunk, I suppose.
Beyond that though, department heads during the 14 time, as well as admins, we never signed a contract either, so we didn't even sign one, so we're set.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean we were getting our DM set up first before we got the admin contracts made, but we never got that made, obviously. So no contract for us.
I know that this might be like already established, but how about the option to release material? For example, I was about to, before signing the contract, I was about to release a system. However, of course, I just put it in the back burner after signing up. So how does that work now? Can I now release my own things without trouble? I know that the contract said that we had rights to our own things. However, my legal advisor told me that that was not good enough for that sort of thing, and I could still be, in danger of that. So
yeah. So I believe you were one of the post 14.
The first 10 that was accepted.
You were of the first 10. The aspirants. Yeah, okay. I don't want to give you a definitive, just because I want to make sure I read it one more time, just to give an all clear in that regard. That said, I'm still like 99.99% sure that I am the contract holder now, and I can just void it and you'll be fine.
Is there a way we can get to 100?
I just need to read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
For sure. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be great. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Fortunately, I know some lawyers who can help me read it.
Yeah. If we can ever get important question, if we can ever get a 100% sure on all the contracts being voided and nullified, etc., invalid, however you want to word it, can we just have Sithams like print each of them out and make a small fire out of it?
Oh my god.
Is that okay?
That fucking shit post from last night.
Can we stream the fire of burning their contracts?
I mean,
I have a.
You guys can do what you want with your printouts or what have you.
Please don't eat your contract. Just don't.
Yeah, it's disrespectful.
Please.
That's too late.
All right.
Oh my god.
Anyways,
I was
the best
hungry.
way to hide it.
Any other questions?
Yes. What are you guys planning on doing with the Google Drive full of artwork?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So those ones I am not sure of. I will be contacting Crystal to see what's really up with those, because they are still head of the to be renamed channel. I know that they've been sending me the cartographer assets that they've been getting, and so we should still be able to use those, no problem. But I'm not sure about the creature art or the mob art.
I know some of the artists haven't gotten paid, so
That's the big thing, is if they got paid or not.
yeah, like I know a few of them. Like literally, I was talking to them. They're like, I haven't been paid for this shit, so it's just kind of like I made it, and now look at it.
Yeah. Regarding that, I know they're being directed to send their invoices to Arcadium. I don't know if that's going to go through. I certainly want to get things set up to help pay for them. Just, I don't want all that work and all that time and effort that they thought were going to be paid to go to waste. If necessary, I can help pay for things, but, I technically don't have a job anymore.
Same.
Also assist with the payments
Yeah.
if need be. I don't have a lot of funds, but I'm willing to help out.
I can help out where I can.
How much is owed?
It's gonna be a lot.
I know they sent like 3,200 aside. I don't remember if that was specifically for the mob art or was it for another thing, but they sent 3,200 aside for it. I don't know how much of that was already paid for. It actually should be in meeting notes in here what they set aside.
It is.
And that's like verified funds that exist somewhere?
That
Not
was
anymore.
Not, yeah, yeah. It was how much was planned to be set aside, and that was
Gotcha.
set up either this Sunday, as in like 3 days ago, or a week before that. I don't remember which one of those meetings we went over those.
Unfortunately, the bank account walked away.
Yeah. So, not sure how much was already paid.
Yeah, the plan was to open the Patreon early to pay for some of these things.
Yes.
Yeah,
which is why I definitely want to set up a Patreon just so we can start paying for the assets. Like, we don't even need to have it set up for paying for DMs. I want to help pay for things, and having Patreon will help for this.
Agree.
Just figure out to ask about that. Because I did check on that.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I have a question. What do we do with the current training game players on the server? Because we have about 200 the last time I checked, and some of them were very regular training game players. It's like, what should we do with them now?
I mean, they're welcome to stay on as training game players. We're going to need more training games. We're going to have more beta tests, so,
Like we kind of like we pointed out before, keep running games. Experience is good.
Yeah, indeed.
Very good.
Especially for the newer DMs who had zero experience on their form that they filled out. I highly encourage
that would be me actually,
Yeah.
but
No.
with that in mind, because we're not in Verum anymore, so it's like, well,
yeah.
do
Fortunately,
I do it now?
I actually already have a character creation system. I don't know if it's gonna work for the Living World because we need to test change mechanics or, yeah, that's all up in the air. But I do have a how to make a character. Here are some basic races. Here's all that good stuff. So if people want to do it that way, you can just use that and. Yeah, and if you have any questions about the setting, I would recommend one of the countries in Kydron that already has a write-up for it, such as Kalbesh or maybe one of the countries set in the continent of Hakuda, because I do have post-its for those, and they all should have write-ups because I'm running a campaign there that it's probably going to have a lot of exterior countries getting involved late game.
Lore string?
Lore?
God.
I mean, I could do a lore string. I'm not sure how entertaining it will be, as I'm just going to be listening to music as I type, but...
I mean, it'd be better for you to, explain the lore of your setting to all the audience that is now...
True. I mean,
without people to
and
watch.
then we could save the VOD and
it
post
saves
it up on
you
the main channel.
Yourself.
Yeah, it definitely would help draw the community. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask a question that might have been already answered?
Yes.
What are you going to do with the partnered server?
So for the partnered server, we're still waiting on getting it transferred to my control. Once that has occurred, because they have to actually contact Discord themselves, their people, to get it transferred. Once that's set, we're going to keep it as just a hub for just games, hangout in general. It'll be a place for that community to essentially fuel our own or to do their own thing. I'm going to put up many different categories and channels. We already have a few set up, but I want to have additionals to those, and like specific categories that are focused towards, like, here's my category for video games, shooters, video games. Here's my category for D&D, and then there's all these different channels that people can discuss, and looking for group channels and looking for DM channels.
As another Discord partner, it takes I think almost 2 months for the Discord to respond to stuff. They're incredibly busy with literally actually tons of stuff right now. They just literally like 4 hours ago rolled out the new school system for Discord, so they're kind of focused on that and the fallout of that. So I honestly don't expect anything soon from them. I'm sorry.
I'll have to give an announcement about that then. But
yeah, it's gonna take a while.
All right. Well, at least that's something I can provide for those peeps. But I was planning on getting that the big Bada Boom Discord. That one adjusted, getting it all set up, so people have their different categories ready for them.
Would you be interested in? Oh, sorry.
Do we have a backup in case he goes back on his word?
Easy enough to make.
Let's make one now just in case.
Yeah, I'll do it after the meeting.
Yeah, let's do that now just in case, and then basically put a link down. Whereas it's like, if this blows up, you'll know he backstopped us again.
I don't think we should put down a link yet, because that's kind of
a backup server.
Just have the backup server. Sorry, I'm spiteful.
They already gave me ownership of this one. I doubt they're gonna back out like that, especially after all the backlash they had. They don't want more backlash. But just in case, I am going to do it. Yes. I already made a backup of this one when they originally were like deleting all those roles, and I was like, I should probably do this. After someone was like, you probably should do this, and I was like, yeah, I should. But then I deleted that because obviously I have now gained ownership of this server, so we're good here.
Are you going to integrate the partnered server into the greater D&D community as well? Like trying to branch out with that one, or are you going to keep that one closed off for the most part?
I mean, I sort of can integrate it to other communities. It's more of going to be a hub for just gaming in general, but there will be looking for group channels there for D&D and things like that, so I can definitely see it being integrated.
Well, I'm saying, like, because if it's going to be a hub, you could also link other major servers where people could find games.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be a bad
idea.
Other
major servers would be a good place. Any, like, major gaming servers, such as, like, if there's people really interested in No More Room in Hell, for example.
Yeah.
Basically link there. Just general things like that. I can definitely see
my own server is basically the same idea, but for specifically tabletops. We link a ton of other tabletop-related servers, so yeah, might be a good idea to do that and branch out.
Indeed. Yeah. The core idea there is it's just a hub, though, for everyone. Just what you guys like. I know there was a lot of people interested in, anime, food, video games. Minecraft was one of the big ones for a while. So.
Don't forget good old D&D.
It's true. But that's what this server is for, until I add the looking for group for traditional gameplays.
Do you have any ready-to-run adventures in the setting? Because I think that would be a fun way to learn about it, if you have them.
Or even, do you have, records of your games that you've run?
I have records of the games I have run. I stream my Friday game, the one that's probably going to be fairly... The original plan was once this campaign ended, that would be when I start using that end campaign's lore for Living World. I'm not sure if that's still viable, considering this campaign probably has another year or two on it before it ends. But lost my train of thought. Bananas and stuff.
Oh, my original question was, do you happen to have adventures ready to go?
Yes.
It sounded like no. Oh, you do?
No. I was saying yes. Yeah, that was your question. Yes. So I do have write-ups. They're not things that are like I write them in my way, so I can easily just boop 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 do my things. I don't write them in Verum style where I can, share it easily and have anyone else who picks up the book run it. I've been trying to transition to that route for certain missions, but not all of my my overarching plots or anything like that are in that nature.
Oh, I understand. I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah. Most of my notes tend to be actually on Map Tools itself, unfortunately. So
you run those games like an actual DM.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say about write-ups because I struggled with making a write-up. even though I have 5 years experience online and
Oh,
whatever.
bro, I feel it. It's fucking it's hard. Like I write entirely in bullet points. So when I had to actually write in paragraphs, I was like, oh, this is so much work.
Yeah, for the longest
I've been DMing for like 5 years. It's basically a big game of improv for me.
Yeah. For the longest time, I did not write really anything, and most of it was just in my head or bullet points. I've gotten much better since Verum, though.
I imagine.
Like doing a test homework and the teacher gives you an F because you didn't show your work.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're getting a little bit off topic, but it is a good conversation. Are there any more questions?
There's a questionnaire going out for DMs after this meeting. Is that what was said?
Oh yeah, it's ready to post. As soon as
Cool.
this meeting ends, it's going out. The homebrew form is also there. Well, they're just gonna look it over, maybe. Just give it the approval, and then it's going out.
That's being posted in Discord, or is that going to our emails?
Everyone will get added. It's gonna go in just Council General or something. You'll see it.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Pin it, please.
Obviously.
Okay, so we got no questions left.
The last one I had was I know Sir Nerp talked about it, or Nerp talked about here not too long ago. But if we need to talk to like him specifically about ideas we had, not homebrew specifically, but like server ideas, or should we talk to, or message you directly, or should we message like Systems or
Message me or Systems or an admin.
Not to overload you. I know you probably get a lot like going on right now with that.
Yeah.
So.
For general server things, should we make just another form separate from the homebrew one?
I mean,
just
definitely
so that it's
make
more,
a form,
condensed.
So it's easier to have a record of it, because I tend to lose DM questions. Like, I might forget about something that someone sent me. I will read it and respond when I can, but I might forget to bring it up, for example. So having a form would give us a record, which would be helpful.
When would be the best time to? Oh, sorry. When would be the best time to contact either you or Systems on this? Or
I can't speak for
tomorrow?
Systems, but if it's going to be like a call where I need to be like actively present, I have a game Thursday that Chrono's in that ends at 5 CST, though we tend to end early sometimes. So after that, I'm free. Friday, I have a game that's bi-weekly that I'm a player in on the off week, and I run on the standard week. That starts at 6 CST. So I'd be available before that starts, though I might be doing homework because I do have homework this week. And then Saturday, same schedule as the Thursday game, though I'm pretty sure we're going on hiatus because one of the players got a month-long job that is going to get them 10 grand. So I mean, like, yeah, obviously take that.
Nice.
Shit.
Sunday is obviously the day of I'm here for the meeting, and then starting at 5:30 CST, I'm in my Sunday game, which I used to stream, but I haven't streamed in a while. I still need to post those VODs up, though, because I have like 9-10 episodes that are not yet posted on my YouTube for that campaign.
Same.
But yeah, that one goes till about like 9 or 10 CST. Sometimes it ends early, sometimes it goes really late, like when we have boss fights, like last session. So generally Sundays after the meeting is over, I am just busy. Mondays, I am free. Because I no longer have a class on Mondays, I switched it to my Wednesdays. Tuesdays, I have a game that ends generally around 4 CST. And then Wednesdays, I'm in class, as people noticed that I was gone most of the day.
Real fast.
Oh, Floop, I don't really use those. I can post you things, though.
I have something real fast,
Yes.
just so I can confirm. Apparently, there's still a Discord invite from Arcane's channel that links to the main hub server. Can I remove that?
Yes.
Okay. Getting rid of that now. Fuck off. Alright, there we go. That's done. Alright. Oh, good. That's all I wanted to say.
Are we gonna like at some point migrate to the Or maybe I don't know. That's what you were talking about. I got an invite to a server that's just Syrik.
So
And now
that's
this is
the old Verum server, the giant community server. We're not going to migrate into the living world stuff there, but it's definitely a place that's I'm planning on keeping and just transitioning into like a
Understood.
general gaming
Gotcha.
server.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
It helps because it separates all of that from this. That's only supposed to be about the living world.
Okay. Any more questions? We good?
Sounds like we're good.
Good meeting.
We're
Okay,
good.
well,
I'm going to go back to ranting.
I'm gonna close the recording here.
All right, I'll see